Okay, Layton Lakes, let's talk about it. This neighborhood is often known to be super family friendly and really pretty. I've taken clients to tour this neighborhood and some are like, absolutely, this is the neighborhood for me. And then I've had others that were like, hell no. So let's talk about it and ultimately share the biggest complaint I hear about this neighborhood. I'm Courtney Strelzik. I'm a local real estate agent here, and I'm hoping to give you all this information, just give it to you straight. We don't need to sugarcoat anything. Okay, so Layton Lakes, super large community, and it's on the crossroads of Queen Creek and Lindsay, and it really surrounds those 4 blocks around that intersection. So you are technically in both the Chandler and the Gilbert city limits, but you're actually in the Chandler Unified School District. And of course, I'll put a list of schools below so you can see. However, something to keep in mind, it is open enrollment. So if you want to select another school, you aren't stuck with just these. You have options. So let's first talk about location, because that is the one thing about a house you cannot change. So the good news is you're very close to Highway 202. So you're on just the south side of the highway, far enough to be away from the noise, but very convenient highway access, which is amazing. Makes everything easier. If you know, you know, and if you don't know, okay, being close to a highway when you have to commute is chef's kiss. You want this. But keep in mind, even though you're close to the highway, you are on more of the southeast part of the East Valley. So it's not going to be as central as like Tempe or North Chandler, Scottsdale. So if you are commuting, just check those commute times, particularly during rush hour, to see if that area would work for you. But it's definitely a much more convenient location than like Queen Creek or Santan Valley. The other perk is you're very close to a lot of shopping. You're really close to Santan Village. Costco's like 5 minutes away. And then right across the street or right north, you have the Crossroads Town Center. And this has like Target, Hobby Lobby, Home Depot. In theory, you could walk there. There's crosswalks and everything, but we're such a, car dominated society, I would say. Not a lot of people do, but if you want, you do have the option. And about a mile, 2 miles, depending on what part of the community you're in, directly east, they're putting in the new Lifetime Fitness, which is a pretty remarkable gym. Not a budget gym, but definitely pretty cool facility. You're also right in the middle of 2 major city parks. You have the Gilbert Regional Park, which is directly southeast, and then also west, you have Tumbleweed and Chandler. But something to note about this location, you're actually right next door to the Chandler Airport. Now, keep in mind, this is a very small airport. It's mostly used for like training or private charter flights. So I haven't heard a lot of people talk about the noise pollution. It's not like you have these huge commercial flights coming in and out of there, but just something to be aware of. So let's actually talk about the homes in this neighborhood, because that's the main reason you're probably watching this video. So a lot of the homes were constructed between, 2013 to 2018-ish. So relatively new homes. So you aren't seeing a lot of maintenance items. I have seen a handful of homes that, definitely needed a new AC unit or a water heater, but for the most part, they're pretty decent shape. And the roofs have been, at least in my experience of what I've seen, I haven't seen any issues with the roofs. And this neighborhood is comprised of single family homes. So as far as price point, some of the smaller homes are starting in like the 500s, and then they go all the way up to 1.5 million-ish. If you're looking on the lower end, like closer to 500,000, just keep in mind, these are going to be more like starter type homes, maybe 1,500 square feet. The lots are going to be pretty tiny. They are technically single family homes. There's no shared walls, but a lot of them, it's like the house, and then you have a little patio out your back door, but it's not like you have this huge backyard. Now on the higher end, you're going to have much larger lots. There's a couple I've seen that are about half-acre lots, not many. They're kind of rare, but they are out there. And then of course the homes, I've seen homes that are, closer to 4,000 square feet, quite large. However, most of the homes are going to be priced in the 600s, 700s. I would say a majority of the homes that are currently for sale right now are in that price range. Now, this neighborhood was built in several different phases. So we have a handful of builders that built here. There was Lennar, Taylor Morrison, Maracay, which is now Tri-Point. Keep in mind, these weren't custom homes. Most of them were spec homes. So it is common to see a lot of these homes with pretty basic upgrades, not necessarily a lot of unique features. But for the most part, most of the homes have floor plans that are very functional. There's a mix of 1 and 2-story homes. There's also a handful of homes that I have seen that have guest suites or next gen floor plans. Now let's talk about community amenities. I mean, if you drive through this area, most people are going to agree it's really a gorgeous community. There's man-made lakes, there's parks, there's a lot of green space. Definitely a lot of trails or walking paths where you can go walk your dog or maybe ride your bike with your kids. There's of course playgrounds, tennis courts, basketball courts. Now I promised I would share the biggest complaint of this neighborhood, and that is that there's no community pool. The one exception to this is there's a tiny little subdivision within Layton Lakes that's comprised of more of those starter type homes with the really small lots where you're getting a patio instead of a backyard. This one tiny little subdivision does have a community pool, and your HOA fee is going to be a little bit higher in this neighborhood, but the rest of Layton Lakes will not have access to a community pool. And the homes that are currently for sale today, only about 35% of them have a pool in their backyard, have a private pool. And if you're more on that lower price range, like closer to $500,000, you're definitely not getting a pool in your backyard. And the HOA for a month, it's $103. If you're in the gated community, it's a little bit higher. It's about $167 a month. But I have had a lot of people that are like, this is crazy. If I'm not getting a community pool, why am I paying that much a month? Now, there's, like I said, a lot of community spaces, so your money is going somewhere. They keep the neighborhood really in tip-top shape. It's a beautiful neighborhood. But if you're really looking for that community pool, it may be worth checking out another neighborhood. Now, one directly south of it is Waterston North. This one does have a community pool, so go ahead and check out that video. Thank you so much for your time, and have a fantastic day.